Hello, all of you beautiful people around the world. My name is Ryan, aka, say it with me, Blackbeard TCG. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day, and if not, hopefully I can make it a little bit better. Now, look, today we are talking about Nambe's Oden list. All right, this is his list. This is the list that I've been playing. I've been having a ton of fun with. I've been playing it for months now because, as you can see, this is very much a list that you only need up to OP02. And if you guys want to pick up any of these singles for this deck is extremely cheap. If you want to pick it up, go ahead and check my link in the description for OP singles. Yes, I'm affiliated with OP Singles. Go ahead, check it out, buy singles from them. You will get 5% off if you use discount code BBTCG. And of course, it helps your boy as well. You can get your cards, help out yourself, and you help out your boy. You feel me? But without further ado, let's break down the deck list. So for all you yoinkers out there, there's a list. If you wanted to steal it, take a print screen and run off and go put it in Sim, there you go. But hey, if you do that, at least leave a like. Help out your boy. Leave a like, leave a comment, and just go like LOL yoinked or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm fine with it. Hey, I'm a YouTuber. I watch a ton of YouTube. I know the game, okay? I know that not everybody wants to sit through, some people, they do their deck profiles. They show one card at a time. Nah, not for you guys. Here it is. Take it. Enjoy. Now, for all you true ones out there, for all you guys that want the sauce, for all you guys that want to know how the deck plays, let's go ahead and get into it. So as you guys can see, we're very clearly running a Wano package as well as a Supernova package. So let's go ahead and break it down. Now, before we get into the list specifically, we have to talk about Oden because people don't know what he does. Yes, literally, people do not know what he does. I've gone to locals, I've gone to events. Well, now the places that I've gone, like I've played this deck so people like remember what he does now. But a lot of times you will be playing this leader and people will be like, what does he do again? Because you never see him, right? Like part of the power of this deck is the fact that your opponent doesn't know what he does, right? So what does he do? You can trash any of your Wano cards, one Wano card, and you restand 2 Dawn. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's actually extremely huge, especially when your opponent doesn't know how to play against it. Because when your opponent is on defense and you're swinging with things or you're making certain plays, more often than not, they're just going to look at the Dawn on the board and how you allocate it, whatnot. If you play something, they might not be thinking like, oh shit, this guy's going to be able to get 2 Dawn. In fact, oh shit, wait a second, this guy has 4 Dawn and now he's swinging at me for 9 for double hit banish when I try to block something else. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really realize that in the moment because they don't see this deck. So part of the strength of this deck is people just not knowing what the hell to do against it, right? Now, don't get me wrong. This deck is not a world beater. This is not going to be Zoro or Law tier. If you expected that, well, hey man, I don't know why you would, because I'm sure you've watched a ton of tier list videos on YouTube and you have not seen Oden in S tier. So I don't know why you'd be thinking that. I'm just being honest with you guys. But the deck is very strong and it can take out, you can get cheap wins with this deck because people don't know what it does. And even when they do know what it does, it's one of those decks where when it gets rolling, it's so hard to stop, right? It's just not as consistent as a Zoro, right? As a Whitebeard, where you have that consistent power, and that's why those decks are on top. It has that power, but it's not as consistent. And more importantly, this deck is extremely cheap to put together. So that's Oden, right? That's what he does. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the list. Let's talk about the Wano cards first. So obviously, you have 4 Momonosuke. I shouldn't have to explain it. The cards, I'm not going to go too in depth unless I have to because I'm assuming you guys already know what it does, but I'll talk about the purpose. So Momonosuke is obviously going to be a searcher. He's a pseudo blocker. He's on board. Your opponent is going to want to attack into him. Of course, now we're in a metagame where there are 5-cost Marcos, Vistas are being shown back up in the meta and things like that. So of course, this guy is going to be a pop target for that. But of course, you want to be able to play him in search. What he's going to be allowing you to do is search your Shinobu. I know that sounds funny, searching a vanilla, but we'll talk about it. It's going to allow you to search your Shinobu. It's going to allow you to search your Oden. It's going to allow you to search your Dendro. It's going to allow you to search your Yamato, okay? It's very, very important. So this card is a must. Now, these 3 cards, 4 ofs right here of Shinobu, Okiku, as well as Izo, we're going to be playing those because those are our targets off of Oden. Now, very quickly, at a quick glance, we're going to break it down, but the reason why I say these cards are your targets off Oden, you might be saying, okay, Ryan, I also see that you're running 4 of the secret rare Yamatos from OPO1. Why aren't you running the Yamato from OPO2? You know, that card that has a very good stat line, 6,000 power, 4 cost, that can go ahead and rest something that has a high cost value? Yeah, the reason why we don't run that is because of Oden himself. When he does get KO'd, he can only play a character that's cost 3 or less. And so for me, already having these cards without counter values and the way that I want to play my deck, as well as Basil Hawkins out here, which we'll get to later, But anyways, that's a Hawkins can't be brought up with Odin. I wanted to make sure that I minimize my cards that don't have counter. I wanted to play enough powerful cards that do have counter. But more importantly, I wanted to make sure that Odin ability would be able to be triggered and bring out quality cards. That card is definitely quality, but it is not able to be brought out of Odin being KO'd. And so because of that, I have opted to omit it from the list. Of course, this is Nabe's list, but I have fine-tuned it as well in my testing and tried out different things. And I've tried the forecast Yamato and I did not like it. And so I can definitely understand why he decided to go with this. So continuing on. For Shinobu, I talked about searching for Shinobu. Why is that a thing? Well, if you take a look at our main attackers, our leader is Slash, Dendro is Slash, Oden is Slash, Hawkins is Slash. These are our main attackers. Yamato's an attacker as well, but the reason why I don't include her in that is because Buggy. So Buggy in OPO3, Red Buggy exists. He cannot be killed by Slash. All of our main attackers are Slash. Sure, Yamato is Strike. However, Yamato, I don't care how you guys want to pronounce her or him. I don't care, okay? Look at how beautiful this card is. If you are swinging into a Buggy with Yamato, you probably already lost, right? Like, if you are not using your double hit banish on the leader, and instead you're in that situation where you desperately have to clear board and do that instead and KO a Buggy, like that's how bad it is because Buggy's just beating you down, you're probably going to lose anyways. And so, what do we do instead? We have Shinobu, who is special. So Shinobu is literally in the deck because not only is it a target for our Odin leader to be able to discard, it's a target for our Odin character card in order to tutor out, but it's also a character that can deal with Buggy. Now, of course, you might say, hey, Ryan, if that's your main attacker and that's your main way of dealing with Buggy, okay, Okiku's also Slash. I forgot about that too. Yeah, if that's your main way of dealing with Buggy and you don't see him, what happens if Buggy keeps pummeling you? Well, you better take the hits. You better hope you hit Shinobu in trigger, or you better counter out of those attacks if needed. And yeah, I mean, that's just how it is, man. Buggy is a card. That's just how it goes. That's how it be sometimes, all right? Okiku obviously is there to rest things. Very, very powerful. Really nice to play on curve on turn 2, as we all know. And then Izu's obviously there. Izu's obviously there as a 2K counter, as well as being able to rest something, right? You know, if they do have that one of Marco that they are playing, Odin dies, you can go ahead and bring out Izo for free, rest that Marco, go into your turn, and then do your shenanigans, right? So Izo is really nice. You got to play in green. Now, Yamato. This card is so beautiful. Okay, so why 4 copies of this? Why do we want to see this? This card single-handedly wins you games. If you can just get one hit, all you need is one attack on your opponent to connect with this Yamato. I swear it feels like your win rate is like 85 to 90% because your opponent is losing 2 cards that they wouldn't have for the entire game, right? It's literally banished. It is very, very strong, which is why the stat line, like the cost is so terrible, right? 5 cost, 5,000 power. Shinobu, 3 cost, 5,000 power, right? But Shinobu's a vanilla, and Yamato has double strike with banish. And counter, right? It also has 1k counter. Don't forget that. It actually has counter on it. So that's why the stat line has to be that low. Now, of course, a lot of people say it's not worth playing this card because at the time that you play it, it's not that powerful. Now, the thing is, we play Denjiro, and I'll talk about Denjiro in a little bit as well. But if you can get Yamato to hit one time, it's really nice because we're in a meta where the game is very fast, where Zoro is fine going to 3 to 2 life, where Law is completely fine going to 2 life, right? These are decks that want to have cards in their hand, want to be able to do shenanigans and all of those things. If you can connect on a Law because they took 2 hits early and you hit them with the Yamato successfully, whoo! It feels damn good. Okiku can rest Law, right? You have things to deal with blockers, right? It's not like sure, you could say, oh yeah, blockers up, then Yamato's not going to be able to work. Yes, that is true. Now, the main decks that are really running blockers that you really have to worry about would be Law, right? But I have beaten Laws. I'm telling you guys, a lot of Law players will go down to 2 life. There's opportunities for you to swing with your Yamato and get them down to 0. And all of a sudden, it's a completely different game when they get 2 hit banish. Now, of course, your opponent can also be like, oh yeah, okay, like I'm going to lose 2 cards from life. I'd rather do that and banish it than discard 3 cards from my hand because like opportunity cost, all those things. That's fine, but now you're getting 3 cards out of their hand for this card, which is still just absolutely absurd, okay? Like, it's so good, okay? I can't stress enough. And what makes it good is Dendro, okay? Dendro is what makes this good, because Dendro, a lot of people don't know what the hell Dendro does. If your leader is Odin, hold on, it's moving around, there we go. If your leader is Odin, set up to 2 of your Dawn as active when attacking. Why is that broken? Let's look at his stat line. 5 cost, 7,000 power. Where do you usually see that stat line? You usually see that stat line on vanillas. Yes, 5 cost, 7,000 power is usually set for vanillas. Yet this guy has an ability with 1 Dawn attached, so he's going to be 8,000 now. 8,000, a very strong number. With 8,000, you can restand 2 of your Dawn. All of a sudden, your Odin restands 2 of your Dawn. You have a character, or you have the ability to play with 4 extra Dawn in your turn if you choose. 2 for free? Well, I guess you could say it's 1 Dawn efficient because you're putting 1 Dawn on, and then 2 for discarding a card from your hand. It is very, very powerful because it allows your Yamato, which at first seems like a 5 cost play. If you have Dendro, it more so feels a lot more like a 3 cost play. If you have Dendro on board, you play your Yamato. Yamato now hits on board, 1 Dawn attached to Dendro. Dendro swings, you restand 2 of your Dawn. Now it feels like you played a 3 cost, 5,000 power equal to Shinobu with double strike as well as banish. That is where the deck starts to feel very, very, very disgusting when you can get that. And that combo happens a lot more than you can expect. Now, of course, you have Odin. You have to play him as well. And this is what's going to allow you to close out games. Odin can double swing, right, for the cost of 3 Dawn. And guess what? For the cost of 3 Dawn, no problem. Dendro restands 2. Your leader restands 2. So you can actually swing, restand, swing Dendro, restand 2 Dawn, Odin, use your Odin ability, restand, attach another Dawn, swing again. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many things that you could do to close out games with triple attacks here with your leader, so you get 4 attacks off. It's so oppressive once it gets rolling. 2 Carrot. Now, Carrot is not a Wano card, okay? It's Minx. You could choose to play 2 Capone Gang base here instead, which is what I was testing. But I found that in some situations, I did not like hitting it off trigger. And it's funny enough, I lost like maybe 2 or 3 games in recent memory where I had a Capone Gang base and I was like, wow, if it was Carrot and it was a 2K counter, I would have won. So just to get rid of that anecdotal situation and not wanting to experience that again, I put the Carrots back in. So that's that. Now we can very quickly break down the Supernova package because it's really straightforward and really quick. For Julie Bonnie, same thing as Momonosuke, it's going to search. Now, what is Julie Bonnie going to search for? What are your key cards? Your Basil Hawkins and your Punk Gibson. We'll get to those. 4 copies of Killer, Blocker, allows you to draw with 1 Dawn attached. Do I use that ability as often? I mean, if it comes up, I don't play it specifically with the intention to get the +1 draw. Ideally, I want to, of course. Who wouldn't, right? Like, of course, that's what I'm going to want. But more often than not, I'm just playing it because it is a blocker. And I just want to have a blocker on board, right? And as counter, you know, you could just say, okay, Ryan, just play Capone Gang Beige then if you want that, right? You know, it's the same power line. It could still get hit by Sequick. You could still get hit by Marco. It could still get hit by Vista. Yes, I know all of those things, but now I have a card that has counter, okay? And the potential to draw depending on the game situation. It's just more versatile for that 1 Dawn. I think it's worth it, especially in a deck where we can reuse Dawn off cooldown. And again, there's situations where you can do things, use your leader ability, stand 2 Dawn, play Killer, and now you have Killer on board as a blocker. So really like that. Scratch Manapoo, 2K counter, we all know that. Okay, last 2 cards, or rather 8 cards. We have the Basil Hawkins as well as the Punk Gibson. Basil Hawkins is really good in this meta because he can swing twice. Very, very powerful card. I love it a lot. Obviously, he gets up to 7,000 power with 1 Dawn attached. And again, it's one of those cards where it just feels so good. You already have a Dendro on board. Your next turn, you can play Basil Hawkins. You can attack with your Dendro, and then you get that Dawn back. So it feels like you're playing a 3-cost, 6,000 power unit. Like, this card is just so damn good. It makes everything that you do feel so good. And then having Basil Hawkins on board puts so much pressure, right? Being able to swing face but also clear board or double clear board just feels so damn good, especially in the meta like we are in right now. And then Punk Gibson is I mean, Punk Gibson is Punk Gibson. It's just a meta card, right? You have to play it, especially against red, right? Being able to rest anything 4 or less, boost up to 9k, right? Really allows you to basically stop 2 attacks in 1 card in this current metagame. And so for that and that alone, you got to run 4 copies of Punk Gibson. So I talked about why we don't run the 4 cost 6,000 power Yamato. Again, Capone Gang Beige, you can put that in if you want. No Paradise Waterfall because it is pretty tight in terms of the list. I wouldn't drop anything. I've tried dropping Yamato down to 3. You really want to see it. You definitely want to see it. So as much as you can. And so that's why I feel like it has to be a 4 of. I think that these ratios are pretty good, man. Nabe has performed with it over in Japan. I think in OPO 1, OPO 2, and I think the same list, according to One Piece top decks. I don't know. I see Nabe beat. I don't know how true it is or not because I haven't seen the screenshots or anything. But I see it on One Piece top decks and OPO 4 again as well. So I don't know if that's a meme. I don't know if it's troll. But all I do know is that I've been winning with this deck. So even if it is a troll, hey man, it's one of the greatest trolls alive because this deck feels so much fun to play. And again, a lot of the power comes in people not knowing how to play against it. Give it a try, guys. I highly recommend. Try it out on the sim. If you enjoy it, check out OP Singles to buy the singles. You can pick up the deck for extremely cheap. It's super, super fun. Dendro is just such a good card, man. It's crazy because who knows if they'll ever print another Oden leader. Or maybe they might print Yamato, green Yamato leader that has another ability. And then this card could also be in the meta again as well. But super interesting to see how this deck plays out in future events. I am going to be going to the CNE where I probably will be piloting this or my Crocodile deck. I have some online regionals too, so I might play it in that. So yeah, stay tuned. I will be showing you guys some gameplay. If I do bring it to those events, I will be recording my matches and showing that to all of you beautiful people around the world. But with that being said, I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and I'm out. Peace.